If you hear any random squeaking, that is just the buttons on my overalls. Hello, my name is Sydney, and today I'm here to talk about a few things that I love about writing. My last video was 10 things that I hate about writing, and so I will link that video down below. Go ahead and check it out. There's this little pocket here that I'm just like, hey, hey, hey. While these are all things that I love about writing, I've ordered them from things that I love to things that I love about writing. Okay, so let's just get into it. Number one, talking about writing with other writers who just get it. There are a lot of nuances to being a writer, and when you talk about this with regular people, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, they might not completely understand, but if you talk about it with a writer, they're like, oh my gosh, that happens to me too. It's just really cool, just in general, to connect with somebody on something that you have in common. But you know, if it's like something that you're passionate about, like writing, then it's just really cool. Number two, seeing other writers' processes and habits. I did a whole thesis on this in college. A lot of writers like to write in specific places. I like to write in bookstore cafes, for example. Different places where you write can affect how you write, like how productive you are, how productive you feel, how creative you feel. The different elements that different writers like, the different habits that they have in the spaces that they write in. Yeah, that was fun. Like 66 pages. I just find it really interesting to see how other writers write and to compare processes and just to kind of see what's going on. I like to watch videos other writers do. I've been to a couple of book signings and I asked them, like, what do you guys do? It just kind of goes back to my number one, like talking with other writers about the similarities in writing. It's kind of like that, or you're connecting with other writers to see how they go about writing. Even if you're not talking to them directly, like I said, like watching videos, you still kind of get that, you know, camaraderie. Number three, writing is the only thing that I actually feel like I'm good at, if I do say so myself. Growing up, I always felt that I was like, okay, there was never really anything that I was bad at. There was just, I wasn't really great at anything. I was kind of borderline mediocre. You know, I played the baritone. It was all right. I played the bass clarinet. It was all right. I played volleyball and tennis. I was all right, you know, but I wasn't like that one person who like excels at these things, who they're just like, you know, that they're gonna go far. I cared about those things, but I didn't care about them enough to put in the time to try to improve. So I think that's really why I was borderline. But when it comes to writing, I love doing it so much that I actually want to sit down to write. That's how I want to spend my free time. Whereas, you know, a lot of people may not feel that way, which is totally fine. Number four, when my characters surprise me. Sometimes I'll be writing a scene, and I think it's gonna go one way. You know, I'm a pretty loose plotter. Like, I plot events and I have an idea of where the scene's gonna go. But you know, sometimes when you're writing it, the character decides, no, I'm actually gonna do this other thing. And so, you know, instead of going right, the character goes left, and you're just like, whoa. But I kind of just keep typing. I go with it, and then some new revelation comes out of the scene that I did not even expect. For example, with my project Storm Cloud, there was a sled race, like a dog sled race, and it was just supposed to be a regular sled race for fun. You know, nothing significant was supposed to come out of it, but then a huge character revelation came out of it. My character figured out like a new thing about her, and so it was just like, whoa. And the thing that she figures out about herself, she was gonna figure out like way later in the book, but then it ended up happening here, and I'm just like, okay, I see what you're doing there. I dig that. You have the leash, right? You're holding the leash. When the character starts tugging on that leash, sometimes you just gotta give them a little leeway and let them do what they're trying to do, because you never know what kinds of awesome discoveries are gonna come out of it. So on the other hand of that, you have to be careful that you don't go too far on a tangent, because there has been times where I let the character go left instead of right, and next thing you know, I'm way over here, and the plot is supposed to be way over here, and I'm like, okay, and the only way to get the plot back here is to either delete what you just had, what you just wrote, or to plan a whole new series of events that are completely irrelevant and stupid to get the character back there. So you got to be careful. A little bit of leeway, but not too much. To the future Sydney, I am sorry that I keep messing up. Have fun in editing. Number five, the process of world building. Over the summer, I was doing quite a bit of world building on my project Storm Cloud, and it was a really fun process. Like, I'd done world building before, but it never felt big enough. You know, I felt like I was thinking very small scope. But then as I started developing the world building again, it went from like this to like this. Even now, as I am like 75,000 words into this draft, I'm still weaving in new bits of world building, that's like really fun. It's just so satisfying. Oh my gosh, all of those pictures are crooked. I lost my train of thought. All those months of thinking about the world and building the world, it's just really satisfying to see that pay off in such a tangible way, you know, because you see it in your head, but then when your character actually gets to interact with the world in different ways, it's like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I find that when I'm working on my drafts, the reason why when I finish a draft it doesn't feel quite like it's there, a lot of the time is because of the world building. Like the plot is there, the characters are there, but the world feels very small or it feels very undeveloped. And so world building for me is usually the reason why I end up having to do another draft. Future Sydney, take notes. Do your world building beforehand. It's okay if you start to think about new world building elements if you're like halfway through the draft, sure, that's fine, but try to do a good amount of world building before you start writing, because boy can that change some things. Número 6. When I really understand a character, sometimes I'll just kind of be writing or I'll be thinking about how this character is going to act in a scene, and I'm like, I feel like I know the character so well that they come across so naturally in the scene, you know? When I don't know a character very well, I kind of feel like stuck in writing the scene. Like I don't know how this character would react, or I write something but then it kind of contradicts how the character reacted in this other situation, and it's just like it doesn't feel like I'm writing the same character. And so sometimes what that needs is to continue writing this character like in the different scenes, and then as that goes along I'll start to figure out the character, and then maybe just in revisions I have to go back and rewrite, you know, how they react in different scenes. I know that picking a favorite character is like picking a favorite child, but I find that my favorite characters tend to be the ones that I know the best, and they just make me so happy to write about them, to think about them. I'm just like, it's just so great. Number 7. Sometimes I will think of a new detail to add, and sometimes that detail falls so perfectly into place with the other details that are already in existence in the world that it feels like it was always meant to be, and it was just waiting for me to discover it. And it reminds me of that quote by Michelangelo, which I have the quote here. I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free. What I love about writing, which is kind of what this number 7 is getting to, is I feel not like I'm creating something, but like I'm discovering something. Which is like what Michelangelo was talking about, that, you know, like you're not creating the angel in the marble, you're discovering him. You have to carve away the bits that aren't supposed to be there. And so I feel like with writing, that's like almost like my motto. It feels like it's so integral to my philosophy on writing, you know. It just it stirs the feelings in my bosom. That was so awkward to say out loud. Do you ever get that, like when you're just like some random detail you just thought of, it just fits, you know? Like the other day I was writing and I discovered my character was left-handed, and I was like, whoa, I had no idea. Number 8. Okay, number 8 is a very, very rare occurrence for me, and I wish it happened more often. But it's when I kind of just start writing and I cannot stop. I'm not even in this world. I'm completely in my world, and I'm just typing away thousands and thousands of words a day. I think this has only happened to me like maybe 2 or 3 times in the entire like 8 or 9 years that I've been writing. I don't know what triggers it. When was it? About 2 years ago, I had just come from South Korea, which is 13 hours ahead of the East Coast. And I was so jet lagged. When you fly eastward, I was flying back in time eastward about 13 hours. So I was kind of a jet lag wreck. I stayed awake until 7 o'clock in the morning, and I wrote 11,000 words in that one sitting. Literally, I did not get up unless it was to pee, but my fingers did not stop moving for however many hours straight. And even now, I go back and I read those words and like, they're so good. Like, it's not even like I wrote a bunch of crap. It's like I actually wrote really, really good words. The only problem with that now is that those particular words were for book 2 of Project Pitchfork, which I had not even finished writing book 1 at the time, and so the plot has since changed, and so I probably won't even be able to use those chapters anymore. R.I.P. Why can't this happen more often? I would think. I've since been to South Korea 6 times, and that's the only time that the jet lag has made me creative. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't stop. And so, God, I am waiting for another one of these days. Number 9, and this is really important to me. When I am writing, I never feel like I should be doing something else. When I was in school, doing homework or having to do like chores or whatever, I always was like, oh, I can't wait till I can start writing, or I'd be partially distracted because I just be thinking about my characters in my world. Like, I could be writing right now. I don't want to do this. I don't want to work on this paper. I just want to write. When I'm writing, I never feel like that. I never think, oh, I have to wash the dishes, or oh, I have to do this or that or the other thing. I just want to write. Even if I have a million other things to do, when it comes to writing, that is a priority for me. And number 10, I kind of already touched on this, but that feeling that I get in my chest when I think about how happy writing makes me, like it's kind of like this little stirry feeling. Like almost like my heart is trying to get out of my chest. That's what it kind of feels like. But that kind of just connects with how much writing fills up my soul. You know, I'm all about my soul here, okay? I always talk about like with my favorite music, how certain songs, certain artists just really feel like they connect with my soul. And by that I just mean that they really feel like an integral part of who I am. And so writing is also that for me. It's such a crucial part of who I am that I don't know what I would do without it. I've gone through a lot of phases in my life in terms of what I've been interested in, what I've wanted to do with my life. But when I found writing, and I've been writing for a couple of years, I was very worried that I would fall out of love with it, that it was just a phase, that I would eventually lose interest. But now I'm just kind of like, it's been 8 years. This is the longest phase I've ever had in my life. And so I'm hoping it's not a phase at this point. I'm hoping it's my calling. And I hope that I never lose my love for writing. I hope that my love for writing can only grow to the point where I can't even handle it. So those are 10 things that I love about writing. Again, I'll link my 10 things I don't like so much about writing down below, so go ahead and check that out just as a nice kind of contrast, comparison. What am I holding here? I'm imagining watermelons, but like actual watermelons. Thank you guys so much for watching. Down below, I want to know, what is something that you love about writing, if you're a writer? If not, then whatever your calling in life is, your passion, if you have one, I want to know what you love about it. Give this video a like, hit subscribe, and I will see you next time. Toodaloo!